Hello guys, today's March 29th, 2:23 p.m. Let's continue our book reading series, our Christmas Carol book reading series. Marley's Ghost. Scrooge had often heard Scrooge had often heard it said that Marley had no bowels, but he had never believed it until now. No, nor did he believe it even now. Though he looked the phantom Though he looked the phantom true and true, and saw it standing before him, though he felt the chilling influence of its death-cold eyes, and marked the very texture of the folded kerchief, bound and about its head and chin, which wrapper he had not observed before, was still incredulous, and fought against his senses. How now? Said Scrooge, caustic and cold as ever. What do you want with me? Much, Marley's voice. No doubt about it. Who are you? Ask me who I was. Who were you then? Said Scrooge, raising his voice. You are particular for a shade. You are particular for a shade. He was going to say to a shade, but substituted this as more appropriate. In life, I was your partner, Jacob Marley. Can you sit down? Asked Scrooge, looking doubtfully at him. I can. Do it then. Scrooge asked the question because he didn't know whether a ghost so transparent. Scrooge asked the question because he didn't know whether the ghost, so transparent, might find himself in a condition to take a chair, and he felt that in the event of its being impossible, it might involve the necessity of an embarrassing explanation. But the ghost sat down on the opposite side of the fireplace, as if he were quite used to it. You don't believe in me, observed the ghost. I don't, said Scrooge. What evidence would you have of my what evidence would you have of my reality beyond what evidence would you have of my reality beyond that of your senses? I don't know, said Scrooge. Why do you doubt your senses? Because, said Scrooge, a little things affects them. A slight disorder of the stomach makes them cheats. You may be an undigested bitter You may be an undigested bit of beef, a blot of mustard, a crumb of cheese, a fragment of an underdone potato. There is, there is more of gravy. There is more of gravy than of grave about you, whatever you are. Scrooge was not much in the habit of cracking jokes, nor did he feel in his heart by any means waggish them. The truth is that he tried to be smart as a means of distracting his own attention and keeping down his terror, for the spectre's voice disturbed the very marrow in his bones. To sit, staring at those fixed glazed eyes in silence for a moment would play Scrooge felt, the very deuce with him. There was something very awful too in the spectre's being provided with an infernal atmosphere of its own. Scrooge could not feel it himself, but this was clearly the case, for though the ghost sat perfectly motionless, its hair and skirts and tassels were still agitated as by the hot vapor, were still agitated, were still agitated, were still agitated as by the hot vapor from an oven. Were still agitated as by the hot vapor from an oven. Were still agitated as by the hot vapor from an oven. You see this toothpick? You see this toothpick? You see this toothpick? You see this toothpick? Said Scrooge, returning quickly to the charge, for the reason just assigned, and wishing. You see this toothpick? Said Scrooge, returning quickly to the jar for the reason just assigned, and wishing, though it were only for a second, to divert the vision's stony gaze from himself. I do, replied the ghost. You are not looking at it, said Scrooge. But I see it, said the ghost. Notwithstanding, notwithstanding. Well, returned Scrooge, I have but I have but to swallow this, and be for the rest of my days persecuted by a legion of goblins, all of my own creation. Humbug, I tell you, humbug. At this, the spirit raised a frightful cry, and shook its chain with such a dismal and appalling noise that Scrooge held on tight to his chair to save himself from falling in a swoon. But how much greater was his horror when the phantom, taking off the bandage round its head as if it were too warm to wear indoors, its lower jaw dropped down upon its breast. Lower jaw dropped upon its breast. Scrooge fell upon his knees and clasped his hands before his face. Mercy, he said, dreadful apparition, why do you trouble me? Man of the worldly mind, replied the ghost, do you believe in me or not? I do, said Scrooge, I must. But why do spirits walk the earth, and why do they come to me? It is required of every man, the ghost returned, that the spirit within him should walk abroad among his fellow men, and travel far and wide. And if the spirit goes not forth in life, it is condemned to do so. It is condemned to do so after death. It is doomed to wander through the world. Oh, woe is me! A witness what it cannot share, but might have shared on earth, and turned to happiness. Again, the spectre raised a cry, and shook its chain and wrung its shadowy hands. You are fettered. You are fettered. You are fettered. You are fettered, said Scrooge, trembling. Tell me why? And nothing but a man. I wear the chain. I wear the chain I forged in life, replied the ghost. I made it link by link, and yard by yard. I girded it of my own free will, and of my own free will I wore it. It is it is its pattern is its pattern strange to you? Is its pattern strange to you? Scrooge trembled more and more. Or would you know, pursued the ghost, the weight and length of the strong coil you bear yourself? It was full of it was full as heavy and as long as this 7 Christmas Eves ago. You have labored you have labored on it. You have you have labored on it. You have labored on it. Labored. You have labored on it. You have labored on it since. You have labored on it. Labored on it. You have labored on it. You have labored on it. Lab- you have labored on it. You have labored on it since. It is a ponderous chain. You have labored on it since. It is a ponderous chain. Ponderous chain. Scrooge glanced about him on the floor, in the expectation of finding himself surrounded by some 50 or 60 fathoms of iron cable, but he could see nothing. Jacob, he said imploringly, oh Jacob Marley, tell me more. Speak comfort to me, Jacob. I have none to give, the ghost replied. It comes from other regions. Ebenezer Scrooge. It comes from other regions, Ebenezer Scrooge, and is conveyed by other ministers to other kinds of men. Nor can I tell, nor can I tell you what I would. A very little more is all permitted to me. I cannot rest, I cannot stay, I cannot linger anywhere. My spirit never walked beyond our counting house. Mark me. In life, my spirit never rode beyond the narrow limits of our money change hole, and weary journeys lie before me. It was a habit with Scrooge, whenever he became thoughtful, to put his hands in his breeches pockets, pondering, pondering on what, pondering on what the ghost had said. He did so now, but without lifting his eyes or getting off his knees. Yeah, looking down below, it looks like this conversation is gonna keep going. So I'm gonna stop the video right here. Um, when Scrooge starts to pondering about what he just heard about, we just heard from Marley's ghost, and you're gonna see the continuation of the conversation between Marley and Scrooge in the next episode of our A Christmas Carol book reading series. Till next time.